Well, I've just got back from a ride in the Peak District with Colin and Jonathan. It was a good couple of days. We rode up on the Friday, came back today, which is Sunday, and we spent Saturday doing what we call the Peak District Loop. No specific route, we just found one, heading up from Chesterfield, where we were staying, up to Glossop, down to Buxton, popping into the odd pub on the way for some lunch, and then we try to travel a little bit further down on the peaks just to get the southern part of the peaks in, and then back to Chesterfield for the evening. You can make a whole day of it, which is what we tried to do, but we were bogged down by the weather and some fog, which you're about to see. We'll be heading cross country to avoid the quickest but most boring route, which is the A1. From St Ives, through Oakham, Melton Mowbray, and finally to Chesterfield. Choosing a loop around the Peak District was no mean feat. There's hundreds of choices. So we chose to head to Glossop, then down to Buxton, and find a route to the south of the peaks. Being May, there was no guarantee on the weather, and a quick check on the BBC didn't fill us with much hope. Except to say, we've been pretty lucky in the past. With only 3 of us on the trip, we met at Colin's as usual and sped off for breakfast. The first part of the route was from St Ives to Peterborough, cross country through Abbots Ripton on the old A1. Never been here before. Kate's Cabin, just north of Peterborough on the A1. It was featured in Bike magazine sometime last year, so we thought we'd give it a try. After a hearty breakfast, we made our way to Chesterfield, cross country. If I was to do this again, to be honest, I'd pick a different route. I spent days working it out on Google, but actually took us through quite a lot of busy towns. Arriving in Chesterfield, we booked into the Portland Hotel, which is a Wetherspoon's hotel and overlooks the market town of Chesterfield. Despite the rain, Chesterfield offered plenty of bars and restaurants to go and visit, and keep dry. Day 2 opened with its first challenge, an electrical fault on my sat-nav, which meant a visit to Maplins. A 10-minute ride from Chesterfield put us right in the heart of the peaks, heading towards the Lady Bower Reservoir on our way to Glossop. Once we get to the reservoir, we join the A57 or Snake Road into Glossop. The A537 to Macclesfield is known as the most dangerous road in Great Britain and now has a 50-mile-an-hour average speed limit on it. The Cat Fiddle is found on the highest point of the route, and it's a good stop to give us time to warm up and plan the next part of the route. With visibility getting poor, we decided not to head towards Macclesfield on the A537, but instead to head down the Peak District towards Ashbourne. The 50-mile-an-hour limit didn't have any effect under these conditions, though I can see it being severely limiting on a bright sunny day with a clear road. So we cut cross country down through the peaks towards the A515 just south of Newhaven. This is where we encountered a tight and steep hill start, causing Jonathan to drop his bike. Before I had a chance to turn around and go back and help out my buddy, some local passers-by had already stopped and got Jonathan out of the road and back into safety. Back at the ranch, we were able to inspect the damage to Jonathan's bike, which, despite his comments to the subject, were only minor. By nightfall, the rain had stopped and the skies had cleared. This would mean, of course, that our ride home would be in good weather and hopefully a better one. And rather than planning it, I just switched on the TomTom to windy roads and we followed our nose. I have to give it to TomTom. The route it chose to take us back to St Ives was far better and more enjoyable than the route I'd planned to go up there in the first place. To my surprise, I found us heading towards Glattan and the home of one of my favourite pubs, the Addison Arms. The landlord there is a motorcyclist himself, so if you turn up on your bike, you always get an excellent welcome. So can I recommend the Peak District? Well, the simple answer is yes, but pick the right time to go. It's typical of that kind of environment. It's like the moors, the weather is always in extremes, and we picked probably the worst extreme you could get. It was wet, it was foggy, and it was cold. But I have been in that area on beautiful days, when the sun is shining and the roads are clear, and so it's definitely a revisit to the Peak District in better weather. The A537 is an excellent motorcycling road, which unfortunately is now dogged by average speed cameras. It's hard to disagree with a speed limit on one of the most dangerous roads in the country. So my advice, pick the right weekend and enjoy yourself in the Peak District. Safe riding.